right, kicking off another brand new hour here, the Steve Gruber Show. Glad to have you along for the conversation so early and so important. Thank you for being here as I fight for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day to save this great nation and make America, well, great again. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Utah could soon be the first state to ban adding fluoride to drinking water as the debate rages about how it impacts intelligence and more. Number two, could CNN's only honest pundit Scott Jennings be on his way into politics? Well, there's a movement afoot to draft him to run for Mitch McConnells Senate seat. How about that? And number three, before I get into anything else, a little bit of breaking news. If you missed it last night, Pam Bondi says, yes, today, flight logs and information to be released about Jeffrey Epstein and the people that flew on his plane, the Lolita Express down to the islands, plus information about his place in Florida and so much more. Apparently, they've got videotapes. Not sure how you feel about that. I'm a little queasy this early in the morning. But Jeffrey Epstein information coming today. We'll get to that as it happens, right? Meanwhile, President Trump continues to move full steam ahead with his executive orders, the latest being price transparency in health care. Here he is signing it. I want you to hear this. Listen.
It allows people to go out and negotiate and price, and you're not allowed to even talk about it when you go into a hospital or see a doctor. And this allows you to go out and talk about it. And it's actually one of the biggest. There's a couple of people that actually going back a long way that feel that are real pros in the industry feel this is the biggest thing you can do for cutting prices. And it certainly is one of them. And it's been unpopular in some circles because people make less money. But it's great for the patient. It's great for the people in our country.
There you have it. Now, Trump's executive orders, and he's signed close to 100 now, have been all about giving power back to the people, and price transparency, just one of them, a huge win, all right? Speaking of dollars, under Trump's direction, government agencies are still finding billions of dollars in wasteful contracts. They're cutting. Listen to Veteran Affairs Secretary Doug Collins with his latest. Prioritizing veteran support over executive support, whatever that means. That's what I like to hear. We didn't have Doug. I apologize. And it's what the majority of Americans like to hear. There's no question about that. A recent Harvard-Harris poll finds that the bulk of Trump's policies are receiving strong majority support. Democrats don't know what to do about that, other than mindlessly repeat the narrative that the sky is falling and the world is coming to an end. Strategist James Carville, the raging Cajun, still out here, looking like the supervillain Skeletor, making some whack job predictions like he has done in the past. Here he is.
This is what I believe. I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, in particularly a collapse in public opinion, it's going to be easy pickings here in 6 weeks. Just lay back.
Now I'll lay back, James, and you lay off the liquor so early in the day. This is all the Democrats have left. Waiting and hoping that the Trump administration will self-destruct, trying to keep everyone distracted from the fact that their own party is washed up, out of favor, done for. In case you haven't noticed, liberals and progressives are running around like chickens with their heads cut off. There is no leader of the party. Kamala Harris was supposed to be their knight in shining armor, a woman of color sent to save them all. Well, you may have noticed she failed miserably. She's an imbecile. You can't even imagine our nation under her leadership. Here's her latest word salad on the fires from California, in case you missed it.
What goes through your mind when you see this? You're here, you're now seeing it up close.
It's not only seeing it, Alex, you can smell it. You can feel it, right? So it's seeing it with our eyes, and many people have seen it. You all are covering it. But to literally be on the ground here, you can smell the smoke that was here. You can feel the toxicity, frankly, of the environment. You can feel the energy of all of the folks who are still here on the ground.
You can feel it. You can smell the smoke. She thinks she's going to run for governor of California. She should run for the exit while there's still time. Really, really brilliant take there, Miss Supreme Leader. You can tell the reporter didn't even know how to respond to that nonsense. Meanwhile, the Democrat Party can't figure out what the future of their party looks like. Do they continue down the same failed path of identity politics and rage bait to cater to the radical portion of their base? Or do they try to remember what the interests of the average American are? Bill Maher says Democrats are doomed. Doomed if they continue focusing on all this trans nonsense, that's for sure. Listen to this.
There are also really important surgeries that people get for their heart, and they go wrong, and somebody dies. And nobody says we must stop the cardiologists. No one says we must stop the surgeons. We say, let's...
That's your analogy?
You want the government to ban gender-affirming care for kids?
You want to lose every election? Just keep coming down on the side of parents coming in second in a who gets to decide what goes on with my kid contest.
You know, we've talked about all of these things. It doesn't get any better with time, does it? Instead of taking that advice, by the way, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers. Wow, this guy. Just rolled out proposals for his state to change gender-specific terms like, mother. Divisive terms like mother into inseminated person. How misogynistic can it be? Or father is natural parent. I think it's obviously the inseminator. I mean, they have reduced women to nothing more than an inseminated person. You can't make this stuff up, folks. If they're not pushing insane gender ideology, they're ranting and raving about the President of the United States and the policies that a majority of Americans support, apparently more than 77 million support. Trump derangement syndrome is causing actual bodily harm. Watch Jon Stewart lose his mind again and some blood along the way while trashing the efforts of Doge. Here he is.
And 10 is all of them, right? It would be embarrassing if it was a small drop in the bucket and that the American people didn't expect that we should negotiate for all their f***ing drugs because we've already paid for it with our subsidies. Come on!
Yeah. Settle down there, John boy. Little too old for those tantrums, aren't you? He thinks the rage bait is what sells the views. But other networks are starting to figure it out. They're reportedly trying to tone down all the attacks against President Trump and, well, average Americans like you. Executive producers told hosts of The View to back off all the anti-Trump rhetoric. Not sure what they'd have left to talk about if they did. Over at MSNBC, Killjoy. Joy Reid has been dropped from her spot on the network. She went full meltdown while sticking to the script that got her booted. They just don't get it. Remember this forever.
My show had value, and that that what I was doing had value. And in the end, I try not to cry on TV, and I say this is kind of like me on TV, so I apologize. And that it mattered. I see Karen is there, and she's been texting me as well. And so what I will just say is that in the end, thank you. Where I land is that the moment of guilt that I felt, that I went hard on so many issues, whether it was the Black Lives Matter issues of a young...
Yeah, when in doubt, play the race card, Joy. That's what got you where you are. They just don't learn, do they? They just don't learn. But you do, and you pay attention. I'll be back on the Steve Gruber Show with more. Yeah, they don't have anything left. I mean, who is in charge of the Democrat Party? Ask yourself. When in doubt, you play the race card like Joy Reid did, but that doesn't work anymore. They try it on The View just about every day, 3 or 4 times. It doesn't work. It's all they have left, though. How about Jane Fonda? You remember her. Hanoi Jane reminding us all just how disconnected Hollywood really is from reality. She compared her fight against Donald Trump to history's fight against apartheid. This was at the SAG Awards just recently, in case you missed it. Listen.
Make no mistake, empathy is not weak or woke. And by the way, woke just means you give a damn about other people. Have any of you ever watched a documentary of one of the great social movements, like apartheid or our civil rights movement or Stonewall's? We are in our documentary moment. This is it. And it's not a rehearsal. This is it. And we mustn't for a moment kid ourselves about what's happening.
Yep, same Jane Fonda that sided with Vietnam while our men were getting killed on the field. She didn't give a damn about America then. Doesn't give a damn about America now. Democrats live for the drama. They love to play the victim, play the Nazi card, the race card, any card they can. But, the Nazi card's been popular lately. Governor J.D. Pritzker sticking with the Nazi narrative. The governor of Illinois who wants to run for president, by the way. Here he is.
How can you possibly compare what happened in Germany in World War II to what's going on here in the United States?
Well, we're talking about the death of a constitutional republic. That's what happened in Germany in 1933, 1934. And we're seeing today that you've got an administration in Washington that's ignoring court orders, literally ignoring when a judge says you can't do this. They're going ahead and doing it anyway.
Yeah. Notice he doesn't mention that judges that have sided with the Trump administration, which are many, Democrats are getting desperate when they resort to comparing Trump to Hitler. Of course, they've been doing it since 2016, maybe 2015 when he first announced his candidacy. It didn't stop Americans from voting for him then. It didn't stop Americans from voting for him in 2020 or in November. But they just don't have anything else. What else do they have to do? Another governor, Gavin Newsom, is willing to fight Trump even at the cost of his own state, which is currently reeling from those historic fires. He doesn't know what to do either. Listen.
Do you think it is appropriate to sign $50 million of spending to fight the Trump administration while also asking the federal government for $40 billion in fire relief aid?
Well, I wouldn't frame the question as you framed it. The state of California, as you know, prepared many, many months ago for a new administration to protect and preserve our policies, our progress, and programs that the Trump administration is directly looking to deviate from.
Easy, Gavin. If you can't answer the question, just shh. Yeah, Pritzker and Newsom. Here's. Anyhow. Again, that's the Democrat playbook. Fight Trump even when it doesn't make sense, even at the cost of everyday Americans, and direct defiance of what Americans voted for. And donors, they're picking up on the desperation. They smell failure. They know what a loser looks like and smells like. The Hill now reporting this from a major Democrat donor. Yeah. The Democrat Party is effing terrible, plain and simple. One major Democratic donor said, in fact, it doesn't get much worse. A second donor equally as pointed. They want us to spend money, and for what? For no message, no organization, no forward thinking? The thing that's clear to a lot of us is that the party never really learned its lesson in 2016. They worked off the same playbook and the same ineffective strategies, and to what end? The Democratic Party is effing terrible. Yeah, there's no question about that. The party is effing terrible. And they do use the same playbook over and over again. They don't learn their lesson. They don't know who to listen to, which should be the American people, by the way, should be you and me in this country. Joe Biden sure doesn't seem to be giving any directives. No idea where that guy went, by the way. Has anybody seen Joe Biden? Don't forget, they wanted us to believe that he was completely capable, competent, and ready to be in charge for another 4 years. He has vanished. Thank God for Donald Trump, for a leader who does have a message and a plan, one that involves less government, waste, and personal liberty. You could raise a glass to that this weekend while Democrats continue to spiral even further into dysfunction. Dear Democrats, here's your message. Stop talking. Go out and shake hands with ordinary Americans. Ones that are going to work today. Ones that want to go to work today but don't have a job. Go talk to Americans who are trying to figure out how to make ends meet. Meet them where they live. Don't sit in Washington in your bubble and pontificate about what's going on in this country when you simply have no idea. All right, good to have you here. I'm glad you're along for the conversation. Make sure you follow me on all these social media platforms. Twitter, Getter, Truth, Facebook, all of it. We're growing. By the way, I want to say welcome aboard to WLOB and a host of stations in the great state of Maine, reaching into the state of New Hampshire as well, and maybe a bit south towards Boston, I understand, with those great signals of the Lobster Network joining the Steve Gruber Show movement. Glad to have them aboard. Glad to have you here as well. Great sponsors make it possible, like Home Title Lock. Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and there are cyber thieves coming after it every day? The FBI calls it house stealing. So all the security you have at your house, the deadbolts, the push button thing on the front of your house, nothing. That doesn't do anything to stop these folks because they're after the value of the money and the equity in your home. Have you monitored your title? You know, they can get a one-page document, get it figured out, send it to the county and start taking loans against your house. They could even sell it, and you won't even know it until you go to your mailbox and you find those letters. Triple lock protection is available, though, 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and God forbid, if the worst happens, restoration services to you at no charge. Get a free title history report and a 30-day free triple lock protection trial today. Go to HometitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. Have peace of mind. Don't be one of these people we have to talk about here on the program, all right? We'll take a break and be back. Welcome to it. It is the Steve Gruber Show.